So my hot take is that we are on the precipice of a huge change in product development. I believe that Gen AI in the next couple of years is going to augment our work so foundationally that there will be far fewer people required to do what we do. But there are other aspects of product management, namely running a product business, that I think are going to become more important. And I believe, again, single digit number of years from now, the people who will be successful in product managers are the ones who can demonstrate clear business insight and value.
Hello and welcome to another episode of One Night in Product Hot Takes Edition, where I speak to one person about one thing, get straight to the point and find out what's on their mind. This is the first of a three-parter where I'll have a few AI hot takes to share with you, so stick with us over the next few days. And if you've got your own hot take, do go over to onenightinproduct.com/hot to grab a time. Anyway, without further ado, here's Greg Prickril's hot take. Right, so I see in front of me a very blurry background that shows, or implies at least, that someone's got a very swanky camera that's making him look good. Not that I'd know anything about that. But I also see a man in the middle, a familiar face that may not be familiar to all of you. So I'm going to ask you, visitor, to introduce yourself. So who are you? Where are you from? What do you do? And more importantly, what's your hot take?
Thanks for having me, Jason. My name is Greg Prickril. I'm a product management coach, consultant, and trainer. Been doing product management primarily in global B2B companies for the last 20 years. Last 10 years, I've had a consulting firm. And these days, I'm expanding my horizons a little bit to think about how we can apply the digital mindset outside of tech companies. And I think that's a pretty good description of me.
And what's your hot take?
So my hot take is that we are on the precipice of a huge change in product development. I think it is part of a broader societal change that is going to be driven primarily by AI. And at the tip of that spear is Gen AI. So I think very broadly, knowledge work is going to be impacted. Task work more and more is going to be impacted. And we are all going to unmistakably feel the effects of this change in a single digit number of years. So this isn't something to me that's decades off. I think if we look at product development, which is what I really care about, it will profoundly impact every role. That's engineering, Q, UX, and of course, product management. I believe that Gen AI in the next couple of years is going to augment our work so foundationally that there will be far fewer people required to do what we do. And that some tasks will become so augmented and so easy that some of us will need to probably shift our value proposition. When I think about product managers, I look at our community today. I think we are obsessed with delivery. And I get that. That's important. If you're not delivering a product, you're probably not doing your job. But there are other aspects of product management, namely running a product business, that I think are going to become more important. And I believe, again, single digit number of years from now, the people who will be successful in product managers are the ones who can demonstrate clear business insight and value. So a lot of the definition work that we do, getting data, whether that's from the market or our own, is going to become almost trivial. It's going to become very easy. AI is going to help us determine what data we need. It's going to help us gather that data. It's going to move us toward insights. It will give us some insights and help us have deeper insights. I think we are going to be able to express what we want engineering to build with a lot more fidelity. I think there will be no code solutions. So my prediction is in, let's say 5 to 7 years, low code or no code MVPs will just be kind of the standard in most organizations. I will not go to market with something that I built from the ground up. It's just too time consuming. This will probably apply more to B2C than B2B, but things like that, product management, UX, that includes research, design, will be able to go out, identify a problem, get the team behind that problem, come up with like an initial draft of the solution, get validation from the market on the problem and the solution. And engineering will be there to do the really hard stuff to make it more performant, to do those kinds of things. So we are moving into a future where there will be far fewer people doing a lot more. The jobs that are outside of this core of people who are highly skilled and have this broad remit will be low paying. So I think the golden age of being in product development, where you can just assume you have a big salary and all this stuff, I think we're at the beginning of the end of that. So yeah, I am probably, if anything, obviously over-indexing on this thing, but I see Gen AI and AI in general getting to a point of recursiveness where they are going to start driving themselves and doing things that are very difficult for us to imagine. And I think the safe bet is betting on that world and figuring out what your place can be inside of it and preparing yourself to add value there instead of kind of being left in the wake.
So do you see this then as an unambiguously good thing for both the craft of product management and I guess also product managers? Or do you see that there are any kind of downsides to this other than the fact, of course, that per your kind of prediction, everyone's going to get laid off, or the vast majority of people can get laid off, or way more people are going to get laid off? Like, aside from that, are there any pros and cons that you see to this? And I guess, given your kind of bullish take on it, it would be good to concentrate maybe on the cons. Like, what are some of the downsides of this?
Yeah, so I think there are pros and cons. I don't think it matters. I think this is one of those changes that is happening and we will just have to adjust. So, in terms of preparing yourself, yeah, the cons will be it's going to be very disruptive, and not just in product development. There are people now talking about a post-work world. And this is something I read about for the first time maybe 10 years ago in The Economist, that we will get to a level of automation where historically a majority of healthy people having a full-time job will just not be necessary. You will have a lot of people, the population is going up, and societies are going to have to wrestle with this idea that we don't need people to do what they used to do in the past the same way. We will adjust. We will find things for them to do, that kind of thing. I think that the transition is going to be very painful. So that is the downside. If you're on the leading edge, and I think we in tech, in product development, are on the leading edge. We're causing this change. We're going to feel it first. And I believe, Jason, that 2024 will go down as like when we first saw inarguably that this is happening. So I think we will look retrospectively on the massive layoffs that are happening, and eventually the failure to recover to the same level is like the first clear sign that things have changed. Leadership's expectations have changed about what people will do, about the staffing levels they're willing to fund. But, we are at the beginning of the beginning, but it will accelerate. And in 5 years, I think we will be looking at a significantly different job market, and there will be distress. There already is like deep distress that I'm seeing. Maybe you are too. It's heartbreaking to see on LinkedIn people who have gone 6-9 months now without work. And I think it will get worse before it gets better. And I don't think we will ever recover to where we were. That's my prediction.
But is that an unambiguously bad thing? Again, aside from the human cost, which obviously is always a bad thing, but from a kind of, if you think of the system, like the fact that we arguably just had people doing jobs that maybe were the easiest jobs to automate, or certainly they are now, but like maybe they were always just kind of, I hate to use the phrase, but like zero interest rate phenomenons or something like that, that you could afford to have lots of people doing the work because you didn't have an alternative and it was easy to do. Like, from a systems perspective, is it actually a good thing that we're making ourselves more efficient?
Yeah, it's an advancement. There will be fewer moving parts. There will be more autonomy, I think. With fewer people and with broader remits, you will see people. And, that's where like product managers moving towards this more business orientation will be really important. I think we will still have responsibility around definition. We will still have some responsibility around promoting the product and do the kinds of things we do. But I see us moving over time more towards like a general manager role. And I think that's healthy. It will be decentralized organizations, which I'm a big fan of. Fewer people, fewer moving parts. I mean, the downside of that could be like, there will be fewer perspectives. So that's something that we'll have to manage, by definition, there will be less potential for diversity, and we're going to have to really watch that. But overall, like, I am not one of those people who would rail against progress. It's happening. It's happened several times before, but I really feel like this is kind of different in that, like, steam engines didn't start building steam engines. Electricity didn't start generating itself. AI is going to get to a point where all the interesting models and the interesting things that are happening were conceived of by AI. The models are built by AI. And I think we will see acceleration around that we haven't seen before. And that's the trend anyway, right? The time between discovery and disruption, I think, is getting shorter and shorter.
All right. So just a very quick message from my sponsor. In this hot take, we're talking all about how we can use tools to up our game. And as ever, it's all about using the right tools for the job. That's why I'm excited to talk about Leadfeeder, a tool that helps you cut through your data and turn your website visitors into solid leads. Leadfeeder shows you which companies are checking out your site, tracks their behaviors, and integrates it all with your CRM. This turns Leadfeeder into your secret weapon for targeted lead engagement and makes it easier for your team to convert website traffic into sales. So you can head over to onenightinproduct.com/leadfeeder for a free demo, get a free extended premium trial when you let them know you found out about them through One Night in Product, the podcast. So do make sure to mention me. Check the show notes for more details, but right now, let's get back to Greg. But is there a danger? And obviously I'm as interested and I'm a user of AI as much as the next person, and I'm, really kind of blown away by some of the stuff that they can do even now. But there is also an argument that actually, for example, with LLMs, that they kind of look better than they are. That they're doing a bunch of cool looking stuff, and they can make themselves seem really fluent, and they can give almost the perception of insight and of thought. But at the same time, all they're really doing is doing lots of really complicated mathematics to put out good looking, coherent words. And that maybe the true whatever AI, AGI, whatever it is that we maybe end up with down the way is actually going to be something completely different. So
yeah, it very well could be. So I do think AI, as I said, AI is the general driver. Generative AI is kind of at the tip of the spear because for the first time, it's really changing the average consumer's perception. So if you use AI tools, your perception of what software should do changes, and people are going to be even less kind of patient and tolerant of, friction when they're trying to get things done. I hear that argument all the time about, all these things can do is predict the next word. And it's like, whatever, if it's the right word. And if you've used them and actually seen that they have something akin to insight, and more importantly, can get you from question to deep insight much faster, right? That's the thing. We focus a little bit on replacement and that kind of thing. That's not where it's at. These are augmentative. They help you. And if you know how to use them, I literally believe that I'm going to be conservative, 5 times more productive now than I was 6 months ago as a knowledge worker in terms of there's way less friction in my work. So not only is there inherent speed in there is now a sense of flow that I have never felt before. I am not, there's not friction copying a table and reformatting it in Word or going out. I am doing some fairly mundane tasks in 30 seconds that used to take me 30 minutes or an hour. And that is super powerful. And we're still at the early stages. I'm still going to a different app. I'm having a chat. I'm copying, pasting. Soon this is going to be embedded everywhere. It's going to be embedded in all our productivity software. It's going to be embedded everywhere you go. You're just going to be able to ask questions. You're going to be able to just ask your oven how you should clean it, how you should bake this thing. What should I do? I put too much salt. It's going to be everywhere.
So assuming that that's all true, what is the main thing, or are the main things that people that are maybe feeling threatened by all this stuff, from a career perspective at least, what should they be concentrating on right now?
They should be concentrating on understanding this technology, imbuing it. Like with any technologies, the early adopters always have a perspective that other people don't have. You will understand it at a level that others don't. So don't fight it. Figure out how it can make you 10 times more productive Think about how you can impact the rest of the organization, because there are going to be winners and losers. For product managers, I would do that. And I would start getting laser focused on the business aspects of developing products. If you look at the, the interwebs, you would think that just building a great product is our job. And it's not. Our job is to build a great product business. And we've kind of overlooked that. We are relegated a bit. We're relegating ourselves a bit, and leadership is going to have to change, and we can help drive that. So I would get deep into these technologies. I would figure out how you can be the one who gets it and is more effective. And I would start investing in understanding the business of product development.
Well, there you go. A clarion cry for all of the people out there that are just still bogged down in all of the detail. Let's start to zoom out and start to think about the whole system, rather than just the little bits and pieces that we're working on. All right, well, I'll buy that dystopian view of the future. Hopefully we'll all have a place in it. But if people want to find you in that place, like, where's the best place to find you after this? They want to come and debate you about any of this stuff.
Yeah, I have a super distinctive last name. I'm fairly active on LinkedIn. You can also go to coachpms.com. That's where I host my coaching and education stuff. Prickril.com is where I host most of the content around my consulting offering. So I'm online, I think, pretty easy to find.
As are we all. Well, we've got nothing else to do now that AI is doing all of our jobs, right? We've got to do something with our time.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll put that all in the show notes. Hopefully some people will come and find you. But as for now, thanks very much for your hot take.
Thanks so much.